What if the fall of Troy, immortalized as a tale of gods, heroes, and impossible deeds, was, in truth, the echo of a real disaster that reshaped the ancient world? As we open the pages of Homer's Iliad, we confront a powerful question. How much of this legendary war was drawn from memory, and what fragments of truth still lie buried beneath the ashes of a vanished Bronze Age city? To uncover the truth behind the Trojan War, we journey back to the 13th century BCE, when powerful kingdoms dominated the Aegean, and every coastal stronghold played a vital role in controlling trade and movement through the region, including the strategic city that would later be remembered as Troy. What appears today as a quiet mound at Hisarlik hides the layered remains of a city built and destroyed many times. And among these layers, the level known as Troy VIIa stands out with evidence of burning, smashed walls, and urgent food storage that suggests fear, siege, and an abrupt, violent end. Homer's description of strong-walled Troy finds remarkable echoes in the massive stone fortifications uncovered at Hisarlik, where battered limestone blocks form sloping defensive skirts and tall gates that once signaled both authority and readiness for war. Within Troy's storerooms, archaeologists have uncovered vast collections of pottery, amphorae, grinding stones, and imported goods, each whispering of a bustling economy fueled by trade that traveled from the Aegean to the Near East, reinforcing the idea that this city was far more than a poetic stage. It was a thriving commercial powerhouse worth fighting for. The people of Troy lived in a cultural crossroads where Anatolian, Aegean, and Near Eastern traditions blended seamlessly, shaping everything from their architecture to their clothing, and this fusion reveals a cosmopolitan community far removed from the isolated mythic city often imagined in later retellings. Across the sea, the Mycenaean Greeks were rising in power, their palaces brimming with warriors, chariots, and administrators whose records reveal a society capable of mounting large-scale expeditions, painting a vivid backdrop for the kind of conflict later immortalized as the Trojan War. Linear B tablets discovered in palatial archives list chariots, armor, and weapon stockpiles with meticulous detail, suggesting that Mycenaean rulers maintained organized military forces capable of traveling far from home, a critical component in evaluating whether a real expedition against Troy ever occurred. Although Homer's united Greek coalition is likely exaggerated, the late Bronze Age world was filled with alliances, vassal states, and multinational forces, making the concept of a combined military operation against a wealthy coastal city historically plausible. In the archives of the Hittite Empire, clay tablets mention a land called Wilusa, widely interpreted as the historical counterpart of Homer's Iliad, and within these texts are hints of political tension, rival interests, and treaties involving names that faintly echo figures from Greek tradition. One Hittite document refers to a ruler of Wilusa whose name resembles the Trojan prince Alexandros, better known as Paris, offering a tantalizing clue that the Iliad's characters may reflect distant memories of real kings, whose stories were reshaped through centuries of oral tradition. Another tablet describes a conflict in which Ahhiyawa, likely the Mycenaean Greeks, intervened in Western Anatolian politics, suggesting that armed confrontations between these powers were not only possible but historically attested, lending credibility to a real war setting behind the epic tale. While the Iliad focuses on a single dramatic siege, Bronze Age warfare often involved prolonged blockades, raids, and diplomatic maneuvering, with cities falling as much to starvation and political betrayal as to the swords of invading armies. Archaeology shows that Troy VIIa's destruction layer contains evidence of burning, collapsed buildings, and human remains trapped under debris, revealing the tragic aftermath of a violent crisis that could well match the kind of catastrophic finale described in epic poetry. But despite the drama of its destruction, the city's strategic location ensured that Troy did not disappear entirely. Later layers show rebuilding efforts, new architectural styles, and shifting cultural influences that reveal a resilient settlement, continually adapting to changing political landscapes. The myth of the Trojan Horse, while captivating, has no clear archaeological evidence, yet its underlying theme, deception and infiltration, reflects strategies well documented throughout ancient warfare, where cunning often triumphed over brute force. Some scholars propose that the horse may have been a poetic memory of an earthquake, symbolized by Poseidon, the god of quakes whose sacred animal was the horse, suggesting that the city's walls may have been breached not by guile, but by the trembling earth itself. Others argue that the horse story may encode a ritual or symbolic practice, perhaps connected to the capture of gates or sanctuaries, where the animal represented divine favor or betrayal, showing how myth can blend theology and military memory into a single unforgettable image. In truth, the fusion of myth and history that surrounds Troy is not an exception but a pattern seen throughout ancient literature, where poets preserved memories of real events while reshaping them into stories worthy of performance, heroism, and cultural identity. By the time Homer composed the Iliad centuries after the supposed war, countless retellings had altered details, added divine interventions, and amplified the deeds of heroes, transforming a regional conflict into a timeless testament to human ambition, pride, and loss. Yet beneath the poetic layers, the archaeological record still whispers of a real city that endured sieges, destruction, and revival. And these fragments, when pieced together, offer a rare opportunity to glimpse the Bronze Age world that inspired one of humanity's greatest stories. Though Homer speaks of gods influencing every battle, archaeological evidence points instead to human motives, control of trade, regional dominance, political alliances, and personal ambition, all powerful enough to ignite conflicts that echoed through generations. Troy's location near the narrow Dardanelles allowed it to monitor and profit from ships entering and leaving the Black Sea, making it a tempting target for any power seeking to control the economic arteries of the ancient world. Through trade, diplomacy, and sometimes conflict, Troy maintained connections with far-reaching cultures, evidenced by foreign pottery fragments, imported metals, and stylistic influences that testify to its role as a bridge between continents. With each new excavation season, archaeologists reveal additional details about Troy's fortifications, houses, and daily life, and every discovery adds another piece to the puzzle, bringing us closer to understanding the real city behind the legend. The Iliad's heroes, Achilles, Hector, Agamemnon, may not have existed exactly as described, yet they embody ideals of honor, courage, and tragedy that transcended their origins, becoming timeless symbols shaped by collective memory rather than individual biography. As myth and history intertwine, the story of Troy becomes a prism through which we view the ancient world, reflecting not only warfare but human resilience, cultural exchange, and the enduring power of storytelling across millennia. The real Trojan War, if it happened, was likely not a singular, decade-long siege, but a series of conflicts, diplomatic struggles, and regional rivalries spread across generations, gradually transformed into the grand narrative we know today. In the end, Troy's fall symbolizes the collapse of a wider Bronze Age world, a moment when great kingdoms across the eastern Mediterranean crumbled amid migrations, invasions, and climate stress, marking the dawn of a new era and the fading of an old one. Today, as we stand among the windswept stones of Hisarlik, the line between legend and history remains blurred. Yet the enduring story of Troy reminds us of humanity's timeless quest to remember, reinterpret, and reimagine the past. If this exploration has inspired you, stay curious and consider liking the video and subscribing for more cinematic journeys into the mysteries of our ancient world.